What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Star Wars Outlaws yet again, and we got a little bit of news. The news drops for Star Wars Outlaws tends to be in very small segments. This one really is no different. There's not too much, but it's basically the size of the planet. So what we have here is an interview that was done with the creative director of the game, and there's one paragraph here that Game Reactor talks about or writes, and I'm just going to read it out, and we'll talk about my opinion right after. It turns out the planets in Star Wars Outlaws, 4 of them have been revealed so far, and a 5th one heavily implied, will be quite big. And better yet, they'll be handcrafted instead of working with procedurally generated environments. As far as size goes, the planets can be compared to 2 or 3 zones in AC Odyssey, and traveling across them will be a journey even on a vehicle that's fast moving. You won't be entirely free to travel around, though, as there are predetermined areas for takeoff and landing. So the takeoff and landing part, I guess, working backwards, that's not too shocking. I mean, yeah, there are some games where you have kind of complete freedom of where you can land and where you can take off. I don't really think this game reminds me of those kind of games. If anything, it's almost like a Jedi Survivor thing where there was a predetermined spot that you'd have to go back to the ship and take off and come back. So that's no problem. One thing I want to focus on, just in case it's not clear with how I view these games, quality over quantity. I guess the same thing with like size. I guess quantity kind of is size in and of its own, but I guess what I mean by that is the game and these worlds, they do not have to be the biggest thing of all time. I'm glad they said the zone thing in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because what I wouldn't like to hear is that every planet is the size, let's see, of an entire recent Assassin's Creed game. Again, it's more about, I would say, the quality of these worlds or of these zones or whatever versus just having, 20 of them, or versus it just being this gigantic open world game just for the sake of it being open world, right? I never like that stuff. I don't like that with anything gaming related. Focus on the quality. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be too gigantic, but again, I mean, the stress there is journeying, even if you're on a vehicle that's moving fast, it's still going to take a while to get from point A to point B on a map. That's fine. And I guess the big thing of handcrafted. Now, I'm not a massive Division player. I played the first, actually, I played both of them, but never all that much, so I'm probably not the right person for this, but I have heard from people that I'm friends with online and stuff that have played the Division that they are pretty happy with the work that team has done on, again, like the map, like crafting how each area looks, and that they do a really good job at that. So I like to hear that stuff because, again, I don't really have too much knowledge of it. You do have an opportunity to do the procedural generation. In fact, you're right, you got Starfield doing that. At least part of that is procedurally generated. I'm not opposed to, I guess, like the Starfield model, primarily because I think Starfield's going to be really good, but I do like to hear this stuff, that everything in this game or everything in these worlds is kind of exactly how they're, putting it together. We're getting these things, again, very slowly and over time, I suppose. So I hope as the year goes on, I hope as the end of the year comes and as we get to next year, which maybe is when the game is releasing, that we start to get a whole lot more info. We saw a pretty good amount of it, so I don't know if you need to show too much, at least like right away. You can wait a little bit, but we'll see what happens next. So let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.